Today is a new training. I've never done this one before. This is called Tools of the Trade. Quite often I get requests from agents asking me what type of programs I'm using, basically how I go about my business, and I have learned a lot of things over the years. I try out a lot of new stuff, keep some things, discard a lot. First of all, before I get started, I'd like to give a shout out to Academy Mortgage for sponsoring us, helping us provide this training to all you guys for free. If you've never used Academy and there's one locally with you, you ought to give them a call because they are a great mortgage lender. They're one of the best in the nation, actually. And they do have offices all over. In Utah, they're huge, but I know in other states, even though they might be smaller, they do a great job. So with that said, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. Now, I would love this to be a lot of open participation. Now, if it's your first time on one of these webinars, all the microphones are muted out so that we don't get a lot of background noise from people and it doesn't disturb everybody else. However, I do like your interaction. On your webinar dashboard panel, you have the ability to type in questions. Sometimes I ask questions and you can raise your hand to answer. But I would love your guys' input today, questions on how I do things or whatever. We've got 1 hour to cover. If I don't get any input, we can probably get through it all pretty quickly. If I do, we could go on for quite a while. But I want to be able to have this out there to help you guys out. So here's kind of the overview of what I think are some of the great basic tools to take advantage of here. We're going to go over contact relationship software, electronic signature software, fax software, and basically I'm just going to say don't use it, but websites, the buyer acquire system, business cards, Facebook business page, mass email systems, and buyer and listing presentations. So let's get started first of all with the contact management software. All right. This is what I use. It's called Realty Juggler. Now, you guys have heard me mention this. If you've been to other trainings, this is the page that it opens up to you when you log in. So I'll give you a quick overview of some of these programs and why I like them. Now, I'm not trying to sell anything to you or say that you have to use these programs. This is just what I like. Over the years, I've used probably half a dozen different contact management programs. This one was referred to me by another broker here, Randall Wall, and if any of you know Randall, he does a lot of business. He has a big team, and this worked for him, and it was very inexpensive compared to what I was using at the time. This costs $100 a year, and at the time I was paying more than that a month for my team. So $100 a year, basically $8 a month. They give you 3 months free to start it out. So, see how it works and everything, and in my experience, they've had phenomenal customer support. So all of those things I like about it. But if it doesn't have the following ingredients, I don't recommend it. So let me tell you why I use Realty Juggler and what I use it for. There's a lot of things on here, okay? Rentals, I don't use that. I don't use anything about the income tracker. I don't track my goals on here. But there are some things that I do use it for, and I think it does exceptionally well. In my opinion, a contact management software program is all about building better relationships. If you've gone to my, my group coaching that I do, if you're local to Utah, you may have had the chance to attend this. But basically, all we focus on for 6 weeks is building better relationships with people that we already know. Now, if we're going to do that with 100, 200, 500 people, we're going to need some help. It's very difficult to build deep relationships or meaningful relationships with a lot of people. Most of us have a close group of friends. Some of us have trouble remembering our kids' birthdays or our spouses' birthdays. We need a little bit of help to remember 100 other people's birthdays, okay? So to me, that's the primary goal of a contact management software. Now, I know people use everything ranging from Excel to their Gmail program, and I just don't think they cut it for this reason. So let's go here, and I'll show you what I do. I'll just give you a quick walkthrough. This is my contacts, okay? So I've got a whole bunch of contacts in here. By the way, anytime you have questions or anything, feel free to type them in. I'll keep my eye on the question panel and try to be able to address your questions right away, okay? So let me take you to a contact. This is a guy I met last week. So I like how easy it is to use. I can search using any part of a name, and it brings up everybody that would fit to. So James Day. Met him last week, and we saw a couple of homes, and he signed an exclusive buyer-broker agreement with me. So as soon as I get a new contact's information, now many of you guys, you go throughout your day, and we're busy people. You know, and I'll talk about this later on when we talk about business cards. In fact, I might just mention it now. Business cards was one of the things on our training that I was going to do right down here. I'll show you where to get business cards, but first of all, let me tell you how I use them, okay? I don't use them. No surprise if you know me, I haven't had new business cards printed in 6 years, I think, and I don't hand them out to people. And you might think that's a little bit crazy, and sometimes I think it's a little bit crazy. But what I do is I am in the habit of, rather than giving my information away, I'm an information gatherer, okay? So when I talk to somebody, rather than giving them a card, I say, you know what, I don't have my cards on me right now. I pat myself down like I'm old and forgetful, which is becoming more true every day. And I say, however, I'd love to get your information. And I pull out my phone or a notebook that I carry around with me. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have a lot of notes. I typically fill up a page full of notes every day with some of the conversations I've had with people, with follow-up activities that I need to do, stuff that happens when I'm not sitting in front of a computer. All right, I've got a question on here. Are you recording this for later distribution? Yes, I am recording this webinar today. However, I can't guarantee that they always work. And again, since I like the participation of the group and the feedback, I think it's always valuable to attend live if you can. But if you have to jump off early or something, I understand. So anyways, back to this. James Day. Somebody I talked to during the day, I come home at the end of the day, and all of my contact notes go immediately in here. So I create a new contact with all the information that I have about him. So I've gotten phone numbers for both him and his wife. Later on, what I'm going to use this for is when I contact James, first of all of my contacts that I have with him, I've talked to him this morning. We just got him pre-qualified yesterday, so I've got notes on that kind of stuff. But I keep notes. I do a time and date stamp on all of my notes, and I keep notes of when I talk to him. And then I make sure that I always have put in here how often I'm going to talk to him. So I'm going to contact him every 2 days or in 3 days or on a specific date or whatever that is. But there's some things in here that help me build a relationship with him. And you can see some of these blanks. I don't have his birthday. So that could be a point of conversation with me and James. I could call him and say, you know what, I realized I don't have your birthday in here. I try to call all of my clients on their birthday. Now, when their birthday comes up, it shows up automatically for me in my task list as something that I need to do and call them. And so that's not something I have to think about again. Once I get the date, it automatically shows up as something for me to do. But let me go back here to James. And with James, again, we met, and later on, it was actually the same day, he signed an exclusive buyer-broker agreement with me. And so now he's not just a contact, he's a client. So I go here with his contact, and I hit transfer, and he's now become a buyer for me. And there's some reasons why I want to use these different fields, a buyer, listing, buyer closing, seller closing. So I'm going to take you to my buyers right now that I have, and here he is because I've already transferred him over there. So I pull this up. Now, something that this tells me, when I transfer him over to the buyer, first of all, I get new fields down here that I can track. Contact again every so often. Now, I don't use this because I'm just going to use the contact record so that I have all of my contacts in one place. However, I am going to have some interaction with him specific to this buyer process, so those I keep right here still under the buyer column. But I've got a lot of new fields that show up now that he's a buyer. I've got a max price, how much down payment, whether he's pre-approved or not, and I have specific tasks that show up for every one of my buyers, okay? I also have a chance to come in here with the parties. So in this case, since he's a brand new buyer, I haven't filled this out. But I want to know who he's going to be using for his mortgage. So I click in here. I'm going to look up a contact, type in part of his last name, And now I've got my my lender's information in here of who I'm going to use for him because he's up in Logan. And this is a local lender up here in Logan. All right? So anyways, very simple process to use there. And I like simple. Let me take you through, though, and show you one of the things I like about this program, okay? I can go down here to Settings, and I can't ever remember if it's Preferences or Defaults because they have this. Okay. It is Defaults. So on my buyer settings, whenever I get a brand new buyer, I've got a couple tasks that automatically populate. I'm going to add him to my newsletter, and I'm going to get a pre-qual letter on file. Okay, so those things automatically come up, and as soon as I enter him in as a buyer, I've got 1 day to get him added to my newsletter list, and I've got 2 days to get a pre-qual letter on file. Okay, and that just automatically populates every time I transfer somebody in to my buyer program. So I don't have to reinvent, or I don't have to think, now what do I do for my buyers? Because at one point I sat down and thought of everything that was great that I could do for my buyers, and honestly there's a lot more that shows up at the buyer closing and seller closing. But I thought of everything I could do for them to make them happy, to have a smooth process, and I put it in there. Let me show you a better example with the listing. Okay, I've got 15 tasks that automatically populate for my listings. Again, I'm going to add them to my newsletter. I'm going to create a personal web link and email a copy to the client and the agent. So I create a personal website for all of my clients' listings, and I'll show you how to do that here shortly when we talk about the websites. I've got a PR report being ordered. Now you'll notice that a lot of these things are being done by my assistant because I can put them in a category with her name in it, and that means she gets to do it. Okay, but I set in here how many days after start date that these things happen. So she orders the PR report, she posts the listings to Craigslist, and some of these are repeating activities as well. So I'm going to click on this one, for example. Due date 1 day after start date, and it's going to repeat daily. Every day she watches, or she posts it again to a different Craigslist site, okay? Post listings to eBay Classifieds, KSL.com, which is our local paper. Post the web link on Facebook and send a link to the client and the agent. And this is kind of fun. And on this one, I've got in here and I've put in the notes a bunch of scripts that she can use to send to the client so that, again, I want to have something that happens every time with every client, because when I get a referral and somebody says, hey, you should use Eric, he did a great job for me, I want to make sure that they get a similar experience, that everybody gets the very best that I can give them, okay? I send copies of all signed contracts to the seller, send a copy of the MLS listing to the client for review, send a thank you card to them, send tips for preparing and showing your home, which is a little PDF file that I've created for tips for people, get the listing packet sent into Equity, email a list of marketing websites that we use, and this is what my assistant does every week. So she sends out a big list, and it's really impressive. It's kind of fun to get CC'd on that because there's about 20 different sites that she's posted things to that week. Email an update to the agent and the seller, and I send them a coupon, 10% off coupon for Lowe's. Okay. Now, if there's anything that you guys do that I haven't mentioned that you think is fun, I would love your feedback. You can either email me or you could type it in right here and I can take notes. But if there's something that you do to provide great service for your clients, give us some feedback. Share it with everybody else, and if you type in a comment now, I'll share it with everybody as well. So while you're thinking about that, if anything comes up, or you can email me later on. Again, it's eric.lee@equityutah.com. So while you're thinking about things, this is what I use this program for primarily. Okay, tracks my clients from start to finish. With my closings, it auto-populates all the dates that are coming up, so it tracks all my deadlines, and it has, again, more fields so I can track who the agent is, who their lender is, all of that information that I need. Okay, so that's an overview of my contact management software and how I utilize it on a daily basis. If there's any questions on that, type them in now. Otherwise, I will go on and show you the next thing. electronic signature software. Tab back here, and I think that's my next tab. Yeah. All right. Now this is a software program that I use. If you aren't familiar with electronic signature software, it is legal to have an electronic signature signed, or to have your signatures be done electronically. And I think iSign here works in every state. I know that they're a local company. We met with them. And you also get some savings by using them, by being a part of Equity. So if you called them up and said, I'm a part of Equity Real Estate, then they'll give you this program for a discounted price, and that is, I think it's $10 a month that I pay for this. Now with the price of gas, I calculated the other day, I drove over to a listing appointment that was 15 minutes away, and it cost me $6 to drive over there and back, just in gas. So anyhow, with the price of gas and everything, if I can save myself a trip or two a month, this is more than paid for. But I love this service. It's so convenient. So I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of how I use this. So whenever I've got a client, let's say that I get a counteroffer, and they've given us a deadline, and my clients are at work or something like that. And a lot of times we get short deadlines, which I'm not a fan of, but it happens a lot in this industry. So I'll log into my iSign here program, and I'll create a new report because they've sent me something. It comes up. It's almost always in PDF. If not, I'll convert it to a PDF file. But I come in here, I click New, type in the name of the transaction and everything, and then I can upload that file. So let me give you an example right here, okay? Sample offer. This is one I created the other day showing an agent this program. So I can add a document. To add a new document, that's where I just pull up the PDF file on my computer. I come up here, I can type in who are the signers for it, and in this case I used my agent that I was showing at the time. So I can just type in their name and email. If you've got a husband and a wife, you'll need a separate email for each of them. Okay. So once I've got my signers selected, I go to place signatures. And this is one of the things I like about this program, is that I can go through and place all the signatures for my clients throughout the whole document. So when I email it to them, I don't run the risk of my clients missing a signature spot, because I know my paperwork. You know, we should know our paperwork. That's why they've hired us. So I know that I'm going to get the signature initial in every spot that we go through. And if you've ever turned in a file and had your broker or corporate or whoever it is that reviews your paperwork come back to you and say, hey, this is great, but we're missing signatures here, then you know how frustrating that can be, especially after it's closed, to try to hunt down those signatures. So I like this program. So I go through here, and this is one that is closed and everything, so I can't show you all the examples of what I would do. But I click through page by page. This is a 9-page document. We go through here, and basically I just drag and drop a signature or an initial spot to wherever it needs to be. And this one I didn't fill them all out, but I would just drag and drop something down there. They get sent the file, and they can sign this electronically on a smartphone, on an iPad, on their computer at work. It doesn't matter where they're at. And so it's very convenient if people are going on vacation or if they have busy jobs, because they can sign it from anywhere. And what it will do is they don't have to download any forms or anything. This will send them a link. So they click the link, it opens up, they get a scan through all the paperwork, and usually I'll call them and go over it with them so that there's nothing in here that's a surprise. But I'll call them and go over the paperwork and say, okay, I'm sending you the forms in the electronic signature format. Basically, they open it up and they click OK, and it puts their signature in everywhere that I've marked. Okay, and then it automatically sends them a signed copy, so I don't have to worry about delivering copies to them either, and it keeps a record of all of that stuff that's been done. I've got a question typed in here. Okay, the question is, do you send 2 contracts for husband and wife? Do you submit 2 purchase contracts for your offer to the other agent? How does that part work? No, when I put in the signers down here, that's a good question. When I put in the signers down here, I'll just add another signer. Okay, so I could put in I can put in myself and add myself to the program. So if this were husband and wife, I would add both signers, and sometimes, like for example, yesterday I did a lead-based paint addendum, or disclosure, which I needed to sign as well as my clients, so I added both clients and myself. All right? Then I click done, and then I'll drag and drop. When I place signatures, I'll drag and drop everybody's signature through it. They'll all get sent the email, and once everybody signs, I get notified by email that everybody has signed the form that needs to sign it. I come in and finalize it, and that will give a copy, that will send a signed copy to everybody that's signed it. So all the signatures from 3 different people will all come together on one form. Once that's done, it notifies me that it's all been done, and I can finalize it and get a final copy sent out to everybody. So, yep. So that was the question there. Anyways, so this is a great time saver for me, and I find my clients love it because everybody's busy. And if I can save them a little bit of time and me a little bit of time, and people don't have to worry about driving everywhere to sign different forms, then you can have a lot of positive experience, and you can handle more clients because you have more time on hand. All right, so having some of these tools can really help you out. Let's just go through the list here of the next one. Is websites. All right, this is the back end of my website. Now, if any of you were on a couple of weeks ago, we had ProAgent Websites come in and give a training for us. Equity provides you with free websites as well, and those are a great basic site to get you started. If you want to upgrade to something, a lot of websites, I've tried a lot of different things. I've sunk a lot of money into this stuff over the years. This is the best one that I found, and they will give equity agents half price. So normally they're $80 a month. An equity agent can get it for $40 a month. I just want to show you a couple things that I use, and honestly this site is very powerful. There's some things in here that I don't use. So there's the lead manager, and I'm not going to show you that because we did that in our training a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not going to go through these in detail either. I'm just going to show you some of my favorites because we're going to have this in a training in a couple more weeks. So a couple weeks ago we did the lead manager side. In a couple weeks to come we're going to do the edit your site side, but I'll just share with you a couple of my favorites. First of all, I can feature properties on my website. If I have a group of people that I like to refer to, I can, because we cover a big area, so if I have some favorites that I know we're going to take good care of my clients, I can enter them here under agents and broker. I can add new agents, and then I can assign leads to them. Let me show you some of my favorites though. If you do a blog, you've got a built-in blog in here. You can print flyers from here. Craigslist listings. You saw that one of my assignments for my assistant was to post listings on Craigslist very regularly. So you can see in here that this is one place that she can do that. She can edit them, delete them, and post those listings. Listing shortcuts is probably my favorite. This is one of the things that I use a lot in my marketing. Like I told you, I create a private website for each of my clients. So this is my latest listing right here. I'll pull this up for you to see. Oh, it went under contract. Let me find another one. Okay, this one's not under contract. All right. What I like about this is that I've got a URL up here that I can copy and paste and put in lots of different advertising. Okay, I can do this. I can post it on Facebook. I can tweet it out. Google Plus, pin it, Pinterest, whatever. So there's a lot of things I can do to continue to market this property from this website. But I share all of this with my client, and I say, get this out to your sphere of influence as well, because that's a chance for me to increase the people that I know or the people that are coming to my site. They've got a mortgage calculator on here, some different price information, a lot of the detailed features, a map, a Google map down here that you can pan the street and kind of see what it looks like, a QRL code down there. So anyways, lots of information on this personal site, but the thing I like most about it, besides it's kind of impressive to my clients that they have a website dedicated just to their listing, the thing I like most is it enables me to very easily socially market it under a lot of other venues. Okay, so let's see, that was here. So that's the listing shortcuts. Social networking also, I can come down here. I've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all this other stuff. And again, that's why that pulls up on all my pages. So it makes a lot of that social stuff that I do very easy to accomplish. Let's go back to our slideshow here. Okay, fax software. I said I would talk about this a little bit, so let me, because we kind of skipped over that. First of all, I think fax software is becoming very outdated. Not a lot of people are using faxes anymore. If they do, you can get almost a free fax system. Sometimes MLS systems have it for free. I know our local one has a free fax software through the MLS, but they're used very rarely. If you're interested in this, go to the Equity Archive, and we have some resources where you can sign up for fax software if you use it. With me, I went down and I bought, and this was years ago, and electronics just keeps getting cheaper, but I've bought a full color laser printer scanner. It only cost me a couple $100. I was surprised at how cheap it was. But I can put a stack of 20 pages on there. It'll scan them all into one PDF, and then I can email them out. And that way I can email a copy to my lender. I can email a copy to my client. I can't fax stuff to my client. They don't have fax software at home, but they all have email. So I have bypassed fax software for programs that use email because that's what everybody's using. So I'm not going to go into a lot of it on that. If you want fax software, again, you can get it online, and it's very simple. Websites, I covered the website that I use and why I like it. Let's go back to buy or acquire a little bit. So any questions on the website or anything like that? Okay, we'll have like I said, a full training on some of the other features coming up in a few weeks where you'll see in more detail some of the things that you can do with this. Let's see, buy or acquire we wanted to cover. I can close this one up. Okay, on buy or acquire, now I just access this through our Equity back office. So I'll come in here. Let's see. And I'll hit this later. Buy or acquire. Okay, so I came in here to Equity. I can go home here. Sorry, let me log in again. And buy or acquire is right here on the main page, so I clicked that, and that brings up this. So I'm not going to go through a big detailed buy or acquire training because we've got it here created for you already. So you can just log into your Equity Archive account anytime and go through this. Buy or acquire, if you're not familiar with it, is a 24/7 call capture service that goes out on all our listing signs. That's the number that's on the signs. And if you're not familiar with how the system works, first of all, just know that it is a very valuable system for you to have. Okay, I have been around here long enough that we actually helped originate the conversations with buy or acquire so that they would provide this for our agents. I was actually paying for the service myself right out of my pocket because Equity wasn't providing it yet, and it was worth it, and it was expensive too. So now we provide this for all of our agents, but basically what this allows you to do is have a 24/7 call capture hotline on all of your listings. So when I sit down with my sellers, I tell them I'm not going to put flyers in their yard because I think flyers unsell homes. And if you feel free to do a test. That's what I did. I put flyers in some of my listings, and I did my call capture hotline in other listings. And I never got calls off the signs with flyers, off of the homes with flyers. The only time I got calls off of those homes is when my flyers ran out, and it was my seller calling me saying, hey, your flyers have run out. That's not the kind of call I want to get. A seller that's frustrated with me because you can't keep the signs full. And it's honestly, it's all the neighbors that took them because they were curious about what the home was selling for. I don't blame them. I'd do the same thing. However, when I use the buy or acquire system, anybody that wanted information on the home, rather than taking a flyer, they get all the information here over their phone. It comes right to them. It takes care of all their questions, but now I know who's called. And I'm able to convert. At one point, I was converting a buyer for every listing that I had. And so I would take listings even if they were overpriced, and I know some trainers tell people not to, but I took them because I could get a buyer off of them. You know, it was basically a little billboard in every neighborhood. So that's what I use Buyer Acquire for. It's a great advertising source for picking up new buyers, and it's a great service for your listings, so when you're going to your listing presentation, you can let them know that you provide quite a lot of services for them. Okay, so that's it on Buyer Acquire. If you have questions, again, let me know. Let's talk about business cards. I've already told you I don't use them much, but Equity has some great business cards, and people have questions, how do I order them? Or sometimes they don't know how to order them, and so they kind of go out and make their own that look a little bit cheesy. So you go to your Equity under Resources, and let me close that down a little bit. I think it's under Marketing and Services and Business Cards. Okay, and basically all of your instructions are right here. There's a site that you're going to click to. We've had a professional graphic designer from Graphster.com put together a whole bunch. I think there's over 20 different templates. So you simply follow the instructions and you can order business cards, and they look fantastic. And they're not flimsy little cards. They're thicker quality cards, so when you give them away, it's not embarrassing to give them away. Another thing, while I'm here, I wanted to mention this because this is new. We just got this done. But with the Equity Elite training, there's a couple ways that you can find out about it. We've got the videos that I'm recording, they're getting posted here. So you can click here and it'll take you right to my YouTube channel, and you can watch that training. I think that's a fantastic new thing that we've got. If, on the subject of business cards, you don't know how to use them or you want somebody to really walk you through it, I created an Equity orientation video. If you're new to Equity or you just like to see everything, because I've had agents with us, honestly, for 2 years. I had one guy, and he called me up and said, hey, I'm just signing up for this website because I think it's pretty cool. And I'm like, we provide that website for free. He's like, seriously? I've been wanting one forever. And I'm like, yeah, we've had it forever. He just didn't know what was available to them. So this Equity orientation in here, I would recommend you go in here and watch it. Equity has asked this one to be private, just available for Equity agents. So again, log into your archive and you can see this, but if you go to the YouTube channel, this will not show up on the YouTube channel because I changed the privacy setting for this one video. The rest of these will show up on the YouTube channel. Speaking of the YouTube channel, if you subscribe to it, you go to YouTube and you just type in Elite Agent Training. It's all one word, and this will pull up. And then you'll automatically be notified anytime a new video is added here. Now, most of the videos will be public. Like this one will be a public video, so it'll come up and everybody can see it. A couple things that show more of the details of the intricacies of Equity, real estate themselves, that one I marked private, but most of them you can come right in here and see. And so as soon as a new video is added, you'll automatically be notified. You don't have to worry about taking really detailed notes anymore because you should be able to come back and reference the video and watch it again. So anyways, that is a resource for you as well. YouTube channel, just go in and subscribe to Elite Agent Training. All right? Okay, we've covered Buyer Acquire, we've covered business cards. Let's go to Facebook business page. People ask about Facebook all the time, how to use it. If you're the younger generation, then you're Facebook junkies and you don't know how to use a telephone, but you can tweet and post on Facebook like nobody's business. I'm from a little bit older generation, so I'm good on the phone. I struggle a little bit with this Facebook technology, but #1 site. My assistant told me, I think it was yesterday, over 1 billion visitors to Facebook. That's a lot of traffic. So some people wonder about how to post on Facebook. Now again, for those of you that this comes naturally to, just a quick word of advice, don't post a ton of business stuff to your personal Facebook page. Okay, your personal Facebook page is more for personal stuff. Facebook doesn't like a lot of business stuff on there. And I don't know if they shut you off or what they do, but they did say they don't like business stuff on there. So for your business stuff, you can come and you can create a separate page, or you can simply tag into what Equity's done and be able to put stuff on their pages. For example, This is a group, Equity North Branch. I created this group. It's a closed group just for my agents. So if you're not one of my agents, you don't get invited into this group. But I can come in here. For example, I posted in here about the webinar this morning. But I can come in here and I can post a bunch of stuff. People can come in and share listings. I think the very best group that does this is Colorado. I'm going to show you Colorado so you can see a whole bunch of notices there for them. But the Equity Colorado, you come in here and they've got postings from people asking, well, this one's asking about some advertising, new listings that they've posted in here. So basically, they've created a very social online office. And so some people say with Equity, they wish they had more social opportunities. And although we're providing, I think, 4 different CE classes a week at the different offices, I mean, there's a ton of activities out there. You still got to be able to make them. And sometimes people miss that. Well, this, I think, fills that gap pretty nicely because you can have an ongoing conversation here in groups that are already created. So again, for my office, I've got Equity North Branch. I created a group just for our group coaching agents. All along the Wasatch Front, we've got Equity Wasatch Front agents. And so this is something that, you know, she's asking for a contractor, and immediately she had people sitting in names for her for a contractor. All right? It's a great way for us to communicate with you about some updates on legalities or things like that. So if you're not a Facebook user, I would recommend using this. If you remember my training from a couple weeks ago, we talked about, I think it was last week actually, the different hats that you have to wear. This would be part of your manager hat, staying up to date with technology. This is where people are at. And even if you don't like it, which I know a lot of agents don't, this is where people are at. So it's a skill that needs to be learned. And even if you have to put it in your calendar like me because it's not natural, I put something in my calendar, go and post something to Facebook. Okay? Anyhow, there's a lot of things already going on that you can plug into and take advantage of. If you want to create your own website, you can. This is my own page, Equity Real Estate Utah. So I come in here and I've got, you know, you can come in here and invite some friends. Scott Langford, one of my agents, so I can invite him, and a cousin of mine right there, and another cousin of mine. So anyways, I can go in and invite friends like that pretty easily. Once you get people to like your page, then you can create its own name. So mine is facebook.com/easyutahrealestate, and you know, until you get a certain number of likes, I think it's 25 or 30 likes or something, it gives you some generic name. But once you hit a certain number of likes, you can have a custom name for your Facebook page. But you can post all of your listings on here. So, like for example, you saw on my website, I create a listing for, or a separate URL for all of my listings. I can come in here and advertise all of that here. This is one of mine. You can see an example of how that looks, and that's just kind of fun, you know, to get something posted like that. It's also fun for my client to see this, and then they can share it or like it on their own Facebook page. And again, that just draws more people into me. Okay, so, but you know, we put in some fun quotes in here almost on a daily basis for you know, just have something that comes up. So that's how you can use Facebook a little bit. And again, I am not a master at Facebook, but it's something that I'm learning along with everybody else. But I did want to make sure that you are aware of all of the resources that are already available for you as far as socially plugging into your own office and other Equity agents. All right, what was next? Mass email systems. Okay, this is one that comes up a lot. And for years I used Constant Contact, and it was a fairly expensive program. I was paying $100 a month for Constant Contact with some of the features that it had. My favorite program now, I'll take you back to this, is Sharper Agent. Now, you can see here, it's called Equity eMarketing. Sharper Agent actually customized it for Equity. And they've also given this to us, half price. So you see our agents get a lot of things, a lot of services for half price because of the volume that we do. And that's a great service for our agents. So I'm just going to share with you, again, you can put all your contacts in here. I do not use this as my contact management software because I don't think it has all of the tools. I can track all of the things that Realty Juggler has, but it's not very user-friendly, and it's not something that I could force myself to use every day. So I upload all my contacts in it, and I primarily use it for marketing. So I can use it for newsletters, and this is how I create my newsletter here. I have it going out automatically on, I think, the 5th of every month. It notifies me 3 days before so that I go in. I can customize a personal greeting on there. It tells me how many contacts are receiving that. I can manage my listings and update, add new listings, so that when it goes out, again, I want all of my clients to get a copy of my newsletter so that they can see their home featured there as well. But I can manage articles, add links, a lot of things I can do with my newsletter, and this is roughly how it's going to look when it comes to people. Okay, I can also post it to my website here. Let's see. Other campaigns. So there's the newsletter, but you've got other campaigns, other marketing materials that you can do. And if you come in here and look, it's astounding how much they have for you. Okay, but you can create flyers, you can create postcards, wall calendars, door hangers. You can order anything through here. And there's a lot of things that are electronic as well. So a lot of these are print, obviously door hangers and things like that. But I can develop real estate cards for open houses, prospecting, purchase anniversary, and these are electronic ones that I can send out as well. So anyways, it's a fantastic service. Got a question that came in. How much per month? This one is, I think, $20 a month through Equity, normally $40. But again, to me, it's worth paying a little bit because time management is important to me. So if I can come on here and have something already developed that I can click a couple of buttons and it gets sent out, to me that's worthwhile. Saves me a lot of time. Somebody said, sorry, did you say you build your newsletter from scratch each month? And yeah, if you go to my group coaching, I always recommend that. Equity provides you with a newsletter that's fairly generic. I like some of the articles in there, and I'll use some of those sometimes. But even though we provide that newsletter for free, and I think that's neat that we provide it for free, I always recommend you use your newsletter to build a better relationship with your clients. Okay, and I don't think a generic one accomplishes that. So, for example, if I don't want to pay for this program, I would go into Equity's free newsletter, and I would delete a couple of the articles that I didn't think were valuable to me or my sphere of influence or whatever, and I would always take the time every month to type in something personal. All right? Now, if you wonder what kind of things would we share that are personal, I can, it doesn't have to be really fancy. And honestly, last month I was on my way out of town for a vacation, and so I just needed to get something done very quickly. Let's see, that would be typing in my... Okay, so this is what I typed in. And if you're used to my newsletters, Kurt Buckley, another broker here, said he could tell that I was just in a rush to get this one put out. So I typed in a little personal article at the front. All right. And then they can click more or whatever. Best way to say thank you. I focused on, this was a resort that I went to. This is where I went on my vacation. So I stayed like a whole week in Vegas, went to, I think, 6 shows for, altogether was, I think, $500. I think that included gas. But we stayed in this fantastic resort, probably the nicest hotel rooms I've ever been in, and it cost me $159 for the week. So I wanted to share that with some of my agents, how I got that. Actually, the agent that hooked me up with it is online here with us today. So thanks again, Greg. I think he was down there the same week I was too. Anyhow, so I put some of this stuff in here. There's a couple articles that come up automatically for people so they can see that. But yeah, I do take time every month to go in and make a personal article in here, okay? And there's a lot of improvement I can do to my newsletter. I'm new to Sharper Agent, but I'm liking what I have so far. Somebody asked, can you do marketing with Realty Juggler? And yes, you can, but it's the same as this program, why I don't use it for contact management. Realty Juggler, if I go back to that, to the mail down here. I can do mass emails, email drip campaigns, things like that. Again, I don't like it. A drip campaign, because I'm the recipient of lots of drip campaigns from lenders, title companies, things like that, automatic spam for me. It does not build a relationship for me. It does not incline me to use that person because there they are in front of me again. You know, it's just like a little name reminder or something like that, because it actually detracts from my relationship with them, because I see that they don't care enough to do anything personal. Everybody's savvy enough to know that it's some marketing campaign that nobody put any thought into that they're getting. So I don't like that kind of marketing. I want something that's developed a little bit more personal for me, because my goal is to build relationships with people, not just send out junk mail. If I send out junk mail, they're going to add me to their junk mail list, and then even when I send out important stuff, they're not going to receive it because I'm going to spam. So you could use this program for that. I don't recommend it. I think that when you have a program like this that specializes in the marketing, it's much better to use something like this. And again, the same reason I don't use this for contact management, because they don't specialize in it. And I don't think they do a very good job in this program with their contact manager, but they do a fantastic job, which is with their marketing, which is what this program was designed to be used for. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions in here. All right. I don't think there's any other questions in here, so let's go mass email systems and buyer and listing presentations. All right. So for buyer and listing presentations, by the way, if there's any other questions that you have on any of those programs, let me know, because we're wrapping it up right here. You guys all, hopefully you've attended my buyer and listing trainings. Okay. For those, I have a presentation. I give a buyer presentation for all of my buyers, a listing presentation for all my sellers. I'm not going to go through those presentations here because they have another whole training that's developed just for them. So please attend those trainings when you see them advertised. I know the buyer one is coming up here in a couple of months. I think the listing one is already online with YouTube, so you can find it there. But if you need a copy sample of the presentations themselves, you can email me. The listing presentation we actually have added to the Equity Archive, so you can go on there and get a great listing presentation. Again, you'd want to customize everything. Now, to kind of close up today, here's what I love about equity. As an equity agent, I can dominate the competition. Okay, there is no competition for me if I want to really compete, because I get a higher split. Say, compare me to the brokerage I started at. I was at a 60-40 split. So if I closed a $200,000 home with a 3% commission, that's $6,000. As an agent with that company, I would only make 60% of that. So instead of $6,000, I'd make $4,000. An equity agent on that same transaction would make $1,500 more. Now, guys, you won't believe it, but there's people out there paying 70% of their commissions. There's a brokerage that takes 70%. Okay, to me, that's crazy. And even the ones that put caps on agents, or a 70-30 split or whatever, they have little knick-knack fees that add up to more than equity's basic $4.99 fee. A franchise fee is often more than equity's fee. So even if their transaction were free, their franchise fee is more than that. So what does that mean to us? I don't want to harp on that, but it means that I have more money in my pocket. Now, what do I do with that money? Well, I can go spend it, or I have more marketing money. So again, if I want to compete, nobody can come close to me. Maybe Coldwell runs an ad on TV. Who cares? That doesn't drive anybody to a Coldwell listing. All right? But I can go out and I can, with $20 a month on Sharper Agent, I can get my newsletter in the hands of 500 people that actually know me, which actually resulted in 2 listings for me this past month. And they both came to me while I was on vacation, so that was kind of fun. But I get a higher split. It gives me more money. I have greater freedom. I've got fantastic broker support. Now, I'm a broker, but Brady Long is still my principal broker, and he has great support for me, always has. But I have the freedom to market however I like. And so today I've mentioned a lot of tools for you guys. You can use these tools however you like. Maybe there's other tools that you are using that are fantastic. If so, if you've got some great tools that you love that I didn't cover here, please send me an email to eric.lee@equityutah.com. Let me know what you're using so that I can add it in here and and tell other people. It's a huge pie out there, folks. We're not competing with each other. I never go head-to-head against for a listing or something like that with another equity agent. I never do. As big as we are, the pie is even bigger. But we've got profit share. Every time an agent joins equity from another company, the agent that was key in recruiting them earns profit share. So all of that puts more marketing money in your pocket. You either stay in business or you just make better money. We have access to the very best tools, and those tools are almost always at a pretty good discount. Half price for pro agent websites, Buyer Acquire is free, half price for Sharper Agent. So a lot of great tools that can help you with your business, and they're cheaper because you're a member of Equity Real Estate. Flexible negotiations. When you're sitting down with a client and they say, you know what, I would love to list with you, but so-and-so said that he would only charge me 5.5% instead of 6%. What can you do? And I've been with I was with a broker that we had to go ask him. It's like running back to daddy to ask what we can play with. I hate business like that. So now I can say, you know what, sure, I'll match the 5.5%. Or, sure, you could use him, but you'll never get the level of service that I give you, and try to negotiate up to the 6%. That's up to me, and I love that. I love that I can be as competitive as I want to be, and I can negotiate however I want to on my commissions. More leads. Using the tools that we can provide you, you can generate more leads for yourself than you ever could someplace else. I know a lot of companies advertise that they're giving leads and stuff, and it's all garbage stuff. You can get on with very little money. You can get on the internet and order a whole bunch of garbage leads. We had one program that I know an agent did, and they were generating like 30 leads a day, and they had 6 agents doing it, 30 leads a day, and in 3 months they had one deal come from it. Guys, you can do a lot better quality with the personal leads using some of the tools we talked about today. And then last of all, of course, you have great support. So folks, Equity is a great company. I appreciate you guys being a part of this. If you have questions for me, again, you can email me at eric.lee@equityutah.com. But I would absolutely love to get your feedback on some of the programs that you're using. If you like some of the programs that I'm using, then let me know how you use them differently if you do. Again, I'd love to get your feedback on these things. Thanks again for joining me today, and have a great weekend. We'll see you all online next week. Bye-bye.